We think about ourselves as a business powering commerce for experiences, and we've seen a pretty pronounced and we think permanent shift to spending money on experiences from the individual's perspective.
The 28th ICR conference kicked off in Orlando this week, and more than 3,000 participants and 250 leaders in the consumer space are represented. And one of those is Taylor Lauber. He's the CEO of Shift4. It's a holistic payment commerce company. Taylor, welcome.
Thank you.
So can you tell us what Shift4 is doing?
Yeah, sure. So we put ourselves at the center of all the most meaningful experiences in your life from a commerce perspective. So whether that is a family vacation, whether that's watching your team live win the Super Bowl, buying a luxury item for a loved one that you're thinking about while you're traveling abroad, or even just that night with friends that went way too late at a restaurant, we are the commerce behind all of those experiences. So we power about a third of the restaurants in the United States, about 40% of the hotels, and 75% of all the stadiums and theme parks in every league, and only recently have begun in luxury retail, which is obviously a really big theme.
For these entertainment venues and restaurants that you're representing, what is the pain point that you are eliminating for them?
So think about the software needed to run your business and how much more complex the world's gotten today than even 5 or 10 years ago. Your average small business is using as much software as a medium-sized hotel might have used 10 years ago. And managing all that and connecting all of those revenue centers for a common experience and a single deposit that the owner-operator of that business gets at the end of the night is a real challenge for them. So we can integrate all of the software at all these revenue centers into a single point of integration so the consumer or fan gets a singular experience and the owner of that business gets a single deposit with a really clean reconciliation at the end of the day.
What has your growth been like in the past 5 years, and what do you attribute the growth to?
So our growth's been tremendous. We've grown payment volume in excess of 30% for the past 5 years. Payment volume is how we think about the health of our business. It's the revenue that our merchants are generating on our platform. And so growth has been, a 30% odd CAGR for the entirety of the last 5 years. And if you think about the last 5 years, it hasn't been that easy for the industries that we operate in. So we have a large presence, as I mentioned, in restaurants and hotels and stadiums. You can imagine what COVID did to those businesses. So to produce this level of growth, we're really not relying on our customers to grow for us, but adding lots and lots of customers. And we've seen that demand. We've seen no upper bound to sort of the complex situations our merchants want us to manage for them.
Do you think some of that growth is attributed to people wanting to return to IRL, in real life experiences post-pandemic and that pandemic fatigue?
So we certainly saw a rapid pull-through of payments around experiences. That's really how we anchor ourselves. We think about ourselves as a business powering commerce for experiences. And we've seen a pretty pronounced and we think permanent shift to spending money on experiences from the individual's perspective, whether that was rushing out to restaurants when people were allowed to in 2021 and 2022, or 23 and 4, a rapid desire to travel and spend around the world. That's certainly been there, and interestingly, that flows through into our stadium and theme park presence as well.
Can you tell me about your acquisition of Global Blue? What is it, and how do you think it'll impact the business?
Yeah, sure. So we like to move boldly. Boldly forward is a motto we use inside the company, and Global Blue represents that on every scale. So Global Blue is one of the largest luxury retail commerce providers in the world. They provide a tax-free shopping experience. So think that you're going to any of the Hermes or Louis Vuittons of the world in Paris, and you want to buy something for your loved one and bring it back home. The ability to get a tax refund on that as a foreigner is something that's really valuable both to the consumer and to the store. You tend to purchase more in the store as a result of knowing you could get 10, 15% back as a result of making your purchase as a tourist. Global Blue facilitates that for about 85% of the luxury retail merchants in the world. So they have a really strong presence already inside of all these great retailers, and yet the payment experience is quite fragmented. It's usually a handoff between 3 or 4 different vendors to make the purchase, to the tax-free shopping forms, to the validation work, along with all the other pieces of commerce that go into a complex environment like that. Our view is by owning these technologies, we can combine them together and deliver a much more cohesive experience for the retailer, and ideally a better experience for the consumer as a result of that as well.
Where do you see the experience economy going in the next 5 years, and how do you plan to scale your business to meet that demand?
So we see a real step function evolution in commerce for the types of merchants we want to serve. So we have a deliberate strategy to be in physical commerce where people are engaging with a good in person or a service in person. And so, you mentioned earlier that the consumer and experience economy is growing rapidly. We don't see that changing. We see, quite frankly, the demands on those merchants to be higher and higher than they ever have before. So what our merchants are asking us for is, how do I service travelers from all over the world that might be used to using a different payment method than is predominant in the United States? How do I match that, German traveler, or French traveler, or Chinese traveler with currencies and methodologies of paying that they're used to in their home country, but for services that I want to provide to them, in my home country or elsewhere in the world?
All right, Taylor Lauber from Shift4, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.